For this edition of Album Spotlight, I went to the local CD store, I took my fishing rod, and I threw it in the bargain bin, the 99-cent CD bin. And I was hoping maybe I get myself maybe a Metallica album or something, but what did I catch? I caught myself an album that is called Jact. J-A-C-T. Now what does Jact in that spelling mean? It means ready to go. And this album came out in 1999. 4 members are in the band. Andy Frank on vocals, Ted Hutt guitars and vocals, Jeff Peters bass guitar, and CJ Erickson on drums. So what I could dig up about this band is that the vocalist, he was in this band called Pusherman, and this band was signed to the Oasis manager Marcus Russell's Ignition Records label. But they broke up, and then the vocalist, Andy Frank, he went to LA and he met Hutt after Hutt's band Reach Around broke up. And they both went to Hutt's place in LA and they worked on some songs. And from an interview I listened to, they recorded about 10 songs in 10 days and then some after that. But 5 of those 10 songs ended up on the album. And the bassist, Jeff Peters, he was an old bandmate of Hutt's and he joined a little after. And then the Vancouver drummer, CJ Erickson, came in and joined the band. So, bang, there you have the 4 members. Soon after the band was completed, they came with their one and only release, their self-titled album, Jact, in 1999. 13 songs on this baby. And so when I picked up this album, I looked at it and, you know, based on the appearance of the album cover, it makes you think that it's a new metal band or something. Like, it looks like something like a Linkin Park ripoff or something. Because I looked on the back and it's like, oh, the date was from 1999. Okay, so yeah, it's around the time Linkin Park was really huge and all that. You know, the cover has a green, washed out looking background with a bunch of random numbers all out of order. Jact is slapped in big font on the front. It's all distorted. All the letters are distorted looking and scratched. And then there's a red crosshairs on the J a little bit above it, and it's got a parental advisory explicit lyrics slapped on there, so you think, man, this is gonna be some hardcore stuff, you know? And so I got into listening to Jact. And first off, the singer sounds like a mixture between the Oasis singer Liam Gallagher and the singer from Filter, Richard Patrick. The music all around it has that very typical late 90s London alternative rock sound, to where on a scale of heaviness from 1 to 10, I want to give it a 5.5 on like how heavy you're looking at. So it's not like Slipknot or Pantera or anything like that where it'd be like about an 8 or a 9, but you know, it's not exactly soft rock, you know, on a 1 out of 10. So if you pick up this album and just based on appearances by the album art, you're thinking it's going to be a really extreme, hard, heavy-hitting album, you're gonna be disappointed. Now, getting that out of the way, there are a lot of tracks that start out with the simple acoustic guitar strum, and that makes me personally want to push the forward button and skip it right away. So let's go through this track list, and I'll tell you what's good and what is bad, and what happened to the band after that. So track number 1, we have Sweet Charity. And it starts out with some cool sounding electronic drums, and then the live drums come along and it has these kind of delayed guitars, and then very drawn out singing, and then there's some atmospheric guitars, and it's about a cry for help. That's all I could really get out of it. Track number 2, we've got in parentheses through with, close parentheses, excuses. This is one of those tracks where it starts out with some acoustic guitars, very boring and forgettable, and it's about getting high and being in a relationship with someone who does you dirty, but you do the same thing, and it's just useless. It's boring, it's contrived lyrics about being a bad boy, but it does have the line, "Life's a bitch and then you die," which is a classic line you've heard probably from your grandpa. Going to track number 3, we have Magic number 3. You see what they did there? Number 3 is in the title and they put it on track number 3. And it did work its magic, because this is my favorite song on the album, or my only favorite song on the album. And so it starts out with an Everclear sounding guitar vibe to it, and then the drums come in at a certain time that kind of throws me off, but then you realize, okay, that's in rhythm. It really kind of throws you in for a loop, but it's a good loop. And like I said, this is one of the better tracks on the album that actually has a pretty good hook to it. And it's just a typical rock song about living a dirty rock and roll lifestyle. Number 4, we have Losing More Than Heaven. And it starts out with an acoustic guitar and an egg shaker. It's very slow paced. And it's a ballad about a man who is just too far gone, and living the quote unquote good life is far past him now. And the lyrics kind of have a hint of scoffing at believing in a higher power, which will come into play a lot later in other songs too. Track number 5 is titled Your Head's On Wrong, and it starts out with like a very fuzzy, distorted guitar sounding a lot like Black Sabbath. And that's probably the most rocking thing about the song. The rest is just this bass and drums kind of just bumping along like a dun 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 dun. And it's a song about how the singer knows better, and that there's all these people who don't know how life is a lie, and they'll never quote unquote get it. They're all lost, and he sees through all the lies. Track number 6 is Future's Gone. It's a slower rock ballad with a heavy bridge, and you think it's going to build up to something, then it just goes down into a chorus again with a tambourine, and it's long, drawn-out vocals. But there is a 12-second guitar solo, and the song is about a girl who's still playing it like she's all good, but the singer sees through her lies and knows that she's a junkie and is going downhill because he's seen it all before. Track number 7 is Starred in This Film Before, and it starts with music that sounds like it should be background music for a prescription drug commercial. Vocals sound like the singer is bored and tired, like he just woke up and jumped in the vocal booth. And to me, this song sounds like it's just about a guy who is bored with life and he just wants a new life or something to that effect. He just wants something new. Number 8 is Barricades. It's got a tremoloed guitar, electric, and there's an acoustic guitar, some soft brushed drums about tearing down boundaries and that we are all one and everyone is the same. And a line in there is, separation is sad. I mean, that's very groundbreaking stuff. I never thought of that before. You know, he might as well put in something like, being sick is bad, also. Just really round it out. Track number 9 is called Anytime. It's a slower, dragging on kind of jam song, but just very boring, going nowhere chord progressions. It's a love song about how the singer wants to always be there for his lover with lines like, I want chasing rainbows, I want brighter skies. Something for the ladies, you know? Track number 10, we are going down Finchley Road. That's what it's called, Finchley Road. It starts with another generic chord progression on a really sloppily played acoustic guitar, and then halfway through the verse, the drums and the lead guitar go in. And then the song itself, it's about looking back on memories of going to a concert and seeing a girl and drinking and just having a fun night back then, but you could never go back to that night. It's all gone now. Track number 11, North Park Way, brings us into another slow ballad again with a tremoloed guitar and an acoustic guitar. And it's another song about how God doesn't exist and how you should question the way you're living and just do what you want. Yeah, just do what you want. You see through all the lies just like he does, right? Track number 12, Sunday Away. It's a slow to mid-tempo song with a bass and an egg shaker starting it off. And then a tremoloed guitar kind of comes in. And then the song, you know, it just adds to that Jact, signature Jact sound. Then it's another song about how the singer can see through your lies and that your beliefs haven't helped you. There's a line in there, it's, your eyes can't lie to mine. It's a Sunday away. So that closes up the album, but we have the one extra track, Future's Gone, acoustic. And it's basically the same as the original track, just with an acoustic guitar and acoustic percussion. And then there's just some added strings, give it that dramatic effect, So after that song on the same track kind of dies down, there's a hidden track that comes up. It's just a simple acoustic guitar and vocal track, and it's about how he won't lie, he's not high, he's getting by, and he's okay. Lie, high, getting by. He's got them groundbreaking rhymes, He's just a rhyming machine. You just can't stop him. So, after listening to this album, would I recommend this to anybody? No, I would not. But you may like it. It may be your next favorite album. Who knows? But the only recommendation I could give is the one decent song on the album, which is Magic Number 3, and even that is a bit of a stretch. But the rest of this album is just a long, boring trip of throwaway tracks and lyrics written by the typical holier-than-thou, I know better than you, I see through the lies type musician. So my rating for Jact is a 2 out of 10. For one decent sounding song, and the production being nice and polished at least. And so, for those of you who are wondering what happened after Jact released, what happened to the singer, what happened to the drummer? Well, the singer Andy Frank, he composed music for the next few years, with one song being on the Mary-Kate and Ashley soundtrack for their movie When in Rome in 2002. After 2002, he didn't do too much music and got more into photography, up until he sadly passed away in 2008 at the age of 42. The guitarist Ted Hutt, he went on to become a Grammy Award-winning music producer, and he worked with all kinds of bands such as Dropkick Murphys, Flogging Molly, the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones, and Violent Femmes. The bassist Jeff Peters, he went on to produce, mix, and play with a bunch of bands, and the last thing I saw was in 2018, where he did backing vocals and bass for the Joan Jett movie Bad Reputation. Personally, I think the most successful member out of this band was the drummer CJ Erickson. He went on to do basically all things background with audio, mix, produce, compose, everything behind the scenes for bands such as Alien Ant Farm, U2, Incubus, Hoobastank, Matchbox 20, Live, Blue October, and Hanson. So when it comes to bands that are small, you really do want the best for them, you wish the best for them, you want to root them on, but sadly Jact is just one of those one album bands that they just never did make it. But if the songs just aren't there, and you don't really have a hit, then that's how they wind up how I found Jact, in the 99-cent bargain bin at the CD store. If you do want to check out Jact, they're on Spotify and everything else, so go ahead, check it out if you want. I don't recommend it, but hey, if you see through the lies too, man, you just may like Jact. This has been IIWR's Album Spotlight.